Thanks for joining us on ARC Salt Lake tonight. I'm Brian Schnee. It is Tuesday, November 19th. This evening, we're taking a look at tomorrow's court hearing involving the family of Gabby Petito and the Moab Police Department. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But first, we're looking into the 14-day dispersed camping law on Bureau of Land. Great to have you with us here on ARC Salt Lake tonight. I'm Brian Schnee. It is Tuesday, November 19th. This evening, we're taking a look at tomorrow's court hearing involving the family of Gabby Petito and the Moab Police Department. That in a few minutes. But first, we're looking into the 14-day dispersed camping law on Bureau of Land Management land and the costly and time-consuming battle for those who try and enforce it. So, let's take a look at this. These are long-term campers that have turned areas into homesteads. And it's something that out here in the Lake Mountain area, part of West Desert's west of Utah Lake, that was really the target spot for our investigation. I recently spent some time with a BLM law enforcement ranger who patrols the West Desert and got a firsthand look at the enforcement of that 14-day law.
This is one of our more problematic areas that deal with people that are long-term camping.
In the Lake Mountains with a beautiful west side view of Utah Lake.
There are some really nice trailers out here, and there are some people that are here that are just passing through town and passing through on a vacation. And you look at those, and sometimes that can kind of shield or put a blanket over the underlying issues that are going on.
BLM Ranger Matt Gochis has been patrolling the West Desert for more than 5 years.
Kind of in those last 5 years, though, it's been a significant increase in the amount of people that are living out here that are long-term camping. That has gone up substantially and very noticeably.
According to BLM Utah, roughly $2,200 per month are spent monitoring camps for compliance.
Hello, police!
They're also unable to patrol full field office boundaries due to the increased need for monitoring these specific campsites, some of which turn into homesteads.
It's probably around 35% of my time is spent just doing compliance checks for these long-term campers.
The Bureau of Land Management allows dispersed camping on most of its public lands. You can camp on BLM land for up to 14 days within a 28-day period.
After those 14 days, you need to move on and move 30 miles from that location.
Gochis says some of the long-term camps pose significant wildfire risk due to electrical issues and unsafe campfires, which we witnessed firsthand.
We get a lot of wildfires that occur from long-term campers due to electrical issues from being out in the environments for a long time, unsafe campfires, also just the litter that goes on in this area. A lot of people will use the black water from their trailers and just dump that black water, which is not sanitary, it's not safe.
How much of these are actually turning into what you describe as homesteads versus people simply out here camping?
This is a specific area where we do have about half that are staying out here long term, and that is just due to the relevancy to the city. It's an easy access, it's an easy place to get to. What's your guys' living situation looking like?
Gochis spends time talking to a variety of campers, like this man who declined to speak with us, but told Ranger Gochis he's been living this lifestyle for 10 years.
About that week time, we'll start talking to people, hey, just so you know, you're coming up on your week, answer questions, offer any resources or things like that.
Are most of these people, do a lot of them have a similar story where maybe they fell in some hard times and they decided to do this, or it's by choice because they live that nomadic lifestyle? Where is that sort of balance, I guess, between the folks that you make contact with?
I would say most of them have a very similar story. It's very similar of either rent is too high right now, so they just want to live out here cost-free, or they had some kind of a traumatic event maybe that happened a long time ago and they just have kind of given up that lifestyle of being in a city or a neighborhood and they just want to be out on their own. Or the third one is, they want to be sort of off the grid for a reason. and they don't want to be in contact with law enforcement or things like that. So
there's a stewardship that comes with the luxury of being able to stay out here.
Teresa, who has family in Utah County,
we were here in May. There's still people here that were here in May.
She lives life on the road with her husband and dog.
And this could be a nice campground, but people don't treat it very well, and that's sad.
Gochis also tried to make contact with others in campsites that indicated significant time spent, but no one was around. Have you seen the same folks on and off for 5+ years doing the same thing?
yeah, there's a handful of them that they know me, I know them. I've been dealing with them for that 5 years.
In this camp area, there have been serious issues in the past,
13 Bravo 21 on service.
such as people living on the land with criminal warrants or possessing stolen vehicles and drug use.
There is a big theft issue that goes on in some of these camps where that is one of their main sources of income because they are unable to get a job. They will unfortunately resort to, theft to help some of that income.
The big goal for Ranger Gochis is to offer resources for those who want to accept the help. So it sounds like a lot of these people know you're coming in the first place, and they just choose not to make that choice until you have to make the choice for them. Is that right?
I would say that's correct. I think a lot of them will see us driving around. I talk to a lot of them, and they kind of make that choice that they want to stay. Again, I'll offer them resources, shelters, or resources to help their situations, and often those are declined.
After learning from the Utah County Sheriff's Office about a camper who had been in the area for months, Ranger Gochis made contact with Angelo and his 2 dogs.
I can work with you on how long you're staying out here, right? So it's 14 days. After that 14 days, you're in violation. And after that, you can be impounded, towed, and cited. You do need to get 30 miles from this location and then stay away for 2 weeks.
Angelo spoke with us after Ranger Gochis offered him lists of resources in both Utah and Salt Lake counties.
I had problems in Salt Lake with my motorhome, being homeless and chased around by people. I found this spot to come out here, and it was, a lot more comfortable and easier to be away from all the people that were upset about campers and camping in Salt Lake County. It's a little bit harder to survive out here past the city. I've been homeless for about 5 years, and not really homeless, but I've had my motorhome bouncing around, so it's okay, but it's still kind of homeless, propertyless. It's just due to having multiple problems, and I don't like being homeless, but being out here, it got comfortable, so I like it.
He's been staying in the Lake Mountain area since March.
I have to fight to stay alive and survive. Out here, I'm surviving with what I got, and if they take that away from me, I don't know what to do.
Gochis gave Angelo roughly a week to decide his next move, whether it was to find another camp 30 miles away or take advantage of the resource information he provided.
I'm just trying to get my life back on track, yeah. I've had a lot of problems, and if I have to move again, I don't know. What do I do,
After a week or so, Angelo decided to head back to Salt Lake City.
We want to try to help these people as much as we can. But in my career, I found that rarely ever happens, of people actually taking up that offer of the resources. They much rather just stay in their trailer and kind of live on the public lands.
Brian Schnee, KUTV2 News. So one of the comments we received on our coverage was, why not tow the abandoned campers? Well, they do, and they did. You can see in this video here, just a few days after we joined BLM Ranger Matt Gochis for his routine enforcement in the Lake Mountain area west of Utah Lake, 10 trailers were impounded, 9 of which were abandoned. The last one, they tried getting in contact with that potential owner for multiple days but never heard back. This was a coordinated 7-hour-long effort between BLM, Utah State Parks, and Utah Division of Recreation, which led to the cleanup of this area. As we mentioned in that coverage, this is costly and it's common. 10 trailers gone. We're told there's now a new wave in this area of at least 4 more long-term campers who have returned after leaving. Some of your comments on our coverage sheds light on some of the bigger issues here. Housing, cost of living, resources, you name it. Utah's not the only state facing these challenges, and it's certainly not the only state with squatters on our public lands. Stay with 2 News here to see more of our coverage. You can also read more about this story on our website, KUTV.com. Coming up on Arc Salt Lake, attorneys for Gabby Petito's family making arguments in court tomorrow, why they believe the Moab Police Department is partially to blame for Gabby's death. Happening tomorrow, the family of Gabby Petito scheduled back in court for a hearing over their lawsuit against the Moab Police Department. Tomorrow, arguments are expected to be made over a motion to dismiss this lawsuit. I believe this is a virtual hearing. Earlier this afternoon, I spoke to the attorney representing the Petito family about their claims.
Right now, we are a day away from a hearing on a motion that Moab filed earlier this year. Moab's motion is essentially a request that the court dismiss the lawsuit, arguing that it's not allowed under Utah's governmental immunity statute.
And what are they claiming in terms of the governmental immunity? Are they using certain specifics to say, here's why this is in play?
They're arguing that in this situation, because Gabby was killed by another party, by her fiance, that the governmental immunity statute bars that claim for wrongful death. We're arguing in contrast that the Utah Constitution protects that right to recover for wrongful death. The Utah Constitution says that specifically that the right of action to recover for injuries that result in death shall never be abrogated and shall not be limited by statute, which of course is what the governmental immunity statute is. So we're asking the court ultimately to hold the governmental immunity statute as unconstitutional in this situation.
They wrote, Petito's murder is tragic. However, Moab did not cause Laundrie to murder Petito. And in their conclusion, they said Moab did not cause her murder. So they seem very confident that their role 2 weeks prior or so did not actually result in this. What are you going to mention to them about other circumstances that led to Gabby's death and why ultimately they are at fault?
Well, the argument tomorrow is not really about what they did wrong, but we've alleged negligence, that the officers failed to properly investigate and that they knowingly failed to follow the law in responding to the stop. And we believe that they ignored Gabby's injuries and important witnesses that would have revealed to them that she was the victim and that she needed their protection, and they failed to do that.
As you know, there's a lot of eyes on this case. There always has been, and there probably always will be with anything that has to do with the Petito family, specifically Gabby. So looking at change as a whole, when it comes to protecting domestic violence victims across the state of Utah, or really across the nation, what does this highlight here, and what is the importance and the value of what you're trying to do?
Well, it's really important to the family to raise awareness of this issue, of the problem that domestic violence is, and the problem that law enforcement's interaction with domestic violence victims can be. Specifically, we would want officers to have more training on how to respond to domestic violence calls, and more resources need to be allocated to help victims of domestic violence. Here in Utah, the lethality assessment protocol that was passed last year, and the sharing of data across agencies for victims of domestic violence has already saved lives, and we believe will save more lives. It's this kind of systemic change that the Petitos are seeking.
What are the Petitos seeking specifically in the lawsuit against the city? For those that don't know, because it's now been dragged on a while, what specifically are they wanting out of this?
Well, specifically, they're wanting Utah law enforcement agencies and Moab to make changes so that this kind of thing won't ever happen again. Now, in a civil case, they're asking for money because that's the only thing that's available in civil court, and that will be determined by a jury ultimately.
I have uploaded an extended interview with attorney Brian Stewart. You can find that on our KUTV YouTube page, and download our 2 News mobile app for updates on tomorrow's hearing. Let's get to weather now. Meteorologist Sean Kelly with me here tonight on Arc Salt Lake. A little chilly out there, Sean.
It's very chilly out there. We're down into the 30s. We woke up to 20s out there. A nice warm up through the next few days. But we do have some changes as we get into the weekend. We've got a storm I want to talk about here because this will be pretty substantial, especially for our friends over across the West Coast. They're currently dealing with the first atmospheric river event of the season, and that means some heavy rain, flooding, torrential rain. For us here at home, we've got no rain, no snow in the forecast for the immediate term. Through the overnight and into the day tomorrow, we are dry. But look at these temperatures here, dropping like a rock. 20 already in Heber. We're at 24 in Manti, 23 in Panguitch, 29 in Cedar City. Even St. George, nice and chilly there at 44 degrees. Look at the scale of this system swirling off the Pacific coast. You can see the low pressure, and it's bringing in this atmospheric river. That's just a confined area of a whole lot of moisture that is being squeezed out when it reaches the coast here. And you can see the mountain snow for the Sierra Nevadas all the way up towards the north. And of course, the rain, the mudslides will be a big risk here. Blizzard warnings up towards the north with wind gusts near 60 miles per hour, blinding visibility with some of those strong snow bands. And eventually we'll see some moisture out of this. and these atmospheric river events usually bring us a pretty substantial snowstorm for our mountains. Still plenty early to talk about the specifics in terms of the accumulations that we could see, but again, Saturday night and into Sunday, that's when we start to feel the impact. Some light mountain snow developing, a few light rain showers across the valley floors. Then Sunday, maybe getting a little bit colder, those snow levels dropping a little bit lower here, but this becomes a widespread event as we get into Sunday. Sunday could be a washout for much of the state with plenty of snow up into the mountains, continuing on into Monday as well. So we'll continue to watch out for that. In the meantime, we get ready for another cold evening. We're down in the 20s and teens for lows. Highs tomorrow into the 50s. You'll see a whole lot of sunshine well down towards the south, maybe a little bit cloudier though up towards the north. St. George, you've got low to middle 60s. More rain returning on Sunday, and then Monday we've got breezy conditions here as well along the Wasatch Front here, Brian. Here it is. We get close to 60 on Friday, so that's the day, Brian. If you want to get out on the course, maybe also play a little pickleball.
Some peer pressure right there to get out on the course. I'm trying.
Friday's the day. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit hazy. Air quality is not going to be the
Pickleball,
best.
I don't mess with pickleball. We know that.
That's because you haven't started.
I know you have been trying
used
to
be
convince
like
me
you.
now for
I used to be like you, and then
6
I started it, and then now I'm addicted. But yeah, so the next 3 days kind of closer to spring-like temperatures, but there's a drop Sunday into Monday. Still a little too early to talk about those snow levels. Maybe some snowflakes here in Salt Lake City as we get into Monday especially, but the trend is back down to cold. And I like this for the ski resorts that are continuing to start to open up and get the first runs in.
really highlighted there on that +2 or change.
That's right, yeah, down in the 30s. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Sean. Coming up on ARC Salt Lake, Delta Airlines now serving fast food in first class. Who the airline is teaming up with to offer new menu items with a brownie. All right, first class passengers on Delta Airlines will soon have a new menu item.
Yeah, the airline announced a partnership with Shake Shack to serve the chain's cheeseburger on long-distance domestic flights beginning in December. It will first be offered on flights out of Boston before expanding to other cities next year. The burger will come with chips, a salad, and a brownie. I don't know about this. I mean, were they going to heat it up in a microwave?
Well, they're going to, and it's well positioned there in the photo with a beer. But I'll tell you this: I'm very curious. How long in advance are they actually going to make the burger before giving it to you?
Yeah,
because they do
probably
this
the morning of.
But they do this with other meals too, on international flights and stuff. And a good buddy of mine who travels all over the world says you can get some good stuff on there. So I'm sure it'll be okay.
Yeah,
we'll
see.
So we go to Shake Shack here locally first, and then we'll try it on the flight and do a comparison.
We'll see what happens. All right. Well, how about a glass of pizza wine to enjoy with your Thanksgiving dinner?
Listen, we have a pizza wine at home.
Yeah.
We have pizza. We have a traditional wine that typically goes well with pizza. But Pizza Hut has partnered with Irvine's Just Beyond Paradise Winery to create a tomato-based wine that it says captures the essence of a pizza slice. Now, according to the product's description there, the red wine offers hints of basil, oregano, and a whisper of garlic. Pizza Hut says it actually tastes more like a white wine when it's chilled. I would need to try that. The limited edition wine is sold on Irvine's website by either of the bottle or part of a gift box that is packaged like, yes, a pizza box. And if this is the Irvine's winery of the family I'm thinking of, they make the good stuff. So Pizza Hut, they've gotten an upgrade.
So they know what they're doing. We'll see.
Yeah. So that should be pretty cool.
I don't know if I want garlic in my wine, though.
No, keep it on the pizza, all right? Keep it on the pizza there. Thanks for joining us here tonight at 7 o'clock. We will see you back here tomorrow. Take care.